students, welcome to Board of Intermediate Education, Andhra Pradesh. This is S. Sesh Kumari, Junior Lecturer in Zoology, currently working at Government Junior College, Siripuram, Guntur District. This is the video of the chapter, Breathing and Exchange of Gases, which is included in the first unit of Zoology second year intermediate syllabus.
The baby takes first breath within about 10 seconds after delivery. Breathing begins at birth and ends at death. Our journey of life ends with last breath. Without breathing, there won't be any life. What is the purpose of breathing? How can it keep us alive? We are going to know these interesting points through this chapter, Breathing and Exchange of Gases. All the living cells need constant supply of energy in order to carry out various metabolic activities. Where is this energy produced inside the bodies of organisms? Each and every cell of the body is involved in the production of energy. Cells, they themselves produce the energy. Mitochondria, the cell organelles present inside the cells, they act as powerhouses of cell and produce the energy. What are the basic requirements for the production of energy? We all feel that food we eat gives us energy. మనకు వీక్గా అనిపించగానే ఒక బనానా తిని యాక్టివ్గా ఎనర్జీ వచ్చినట్లుగా ఫీల్ అవుతాం. ఫుడ్ తీసుకోవడం అనేది మన ప్రయత్నం, మన ఆలోచనలతో వాలంటరీగా జరుగుతుంది కాబట్టి మన కాన్సన్ట్రేషన్ ఫుడ్ అండ్ డైజెషన్ మీద ఎక్కువగా ఉంటుంది. ఫుడ్ మెటీరియల్స్ ఆర్ ఎసెన్షియల్ ఫర్ ద ప్రొడక్షన్ ఆఫ్ ఎనర్జీ. But energy is not merely given by the food. Energy is produced by the oxidation of micromolecules of digested food. What is required for the oxidation of food materials? Cells require oxygen for the oxidation of food materials. So the food materials produce energy only in the presence of oxygen. How do cells get oxygen? The answer is by the process of breathing. We inhale the atmospheric air into our lungs. Breathing involuntaryగా జరుగుతుంది కాబట్టి మరియు అట్మాస్ఫిరిక్ ఎయిర్ ఫ్రీగా అవైలబుల్గా ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి మన అటెన్షన్ బ్రీదింగ్ మీద కొంచెం తక్కువగా ఉంటుంది. ఫుడ్ మెటీరియల్స్ని మనం చూస్ చేసుకోవడం, వాలంటరీగా తీసుకోవడం వల్ల ఫుడ్ మెటీరియల్స్ మీద ఎక్కువ కాన్సన్ట్రేట్ చేస్తాం. బట్ ఆక్సిజన్ ఈజ్ వెరీ మచ్ ఎసెన్షియల్ ఫర్ ద ప్రొడక్షన్ ఆఫ్ ఎనర్జీ. Glucose is broken down only in the presence of oxygen to produce carbon dioxide, water and energy. So for the production of energy from the digested food materials, the basic requirement is oxygen. Along with energy, carbon dioxide and water are also produced. This water produced is known as metabolic water. It acts as a source of water to the bodies of living organisms. The food we have eaten gets digested in the small intestine and the end products of digestion, glucose, amino acids and fatty acids are transported to the body cells through the circulatory system. Blood also transports oxygen to all the body cells. That oxygen is utilized by the organism to break down the food materials. At the time of energy production, carbon dioxide is also released. It is a harmful gas. When this carbon dioxide dissolves in the water present in the plasma of blood, it forms carbonic acid, which lowers the pH of blood and threatening the homeostasis is its consequence. It is therefore evident that oxygen has to be continuously supplied to the body cells and carbon dioxide produced by the cells has to be eliminated. Respiration is the vital feature of life. The process of exchange of oxygen from the medium, air or water, with carbon dioxide produced by the cells at the same time is called breathing. However, the process of respiration during which the air is inhaled into the lungs and exhaled out of the lungs is called breathing. Many others describe the process of gaseous exchange at lungs as external respiration or ventilation. So breathing is also known as external respiration or ventilation. Generally, the entry of oxygen and exit of carbon dioxide happen at one place, that is at the lungs region, and the energy releasing process occurs at other site, that is inside the cells. Energy is released in all the cells of our body. Exchange of gases takes place at respiratory organs. Energy is produced in different cells by the process of cellular respiration or internal respiration. Chemical breakdown of nutrients occur inside the cells. Here the food materials are broken down to produce the energy, and this process is called internal respiration or cellular respiration. Respiration as a whole includes both breathing and cellular respiration. So, respiration is a catabolic process of release of energy by the oxidation of the food materials. Here, glucose is oxidized to produce energy. As the food materials are broken down, respiration is nicknamed as calorie burner. By the burning of calories, energy is released and provided to the cells for various metabolic activities. So it is also named as energy provider. ఇక్కడ రెస్పిరేషన్లో ఫుడ్ మెటీరియల్స్ బర్న్ అయ్యి క్యాలరీస్ బర్న్ అయ్యి ఎనర్జీ ప్రొడక్షన్ జరిగి సెల్స్కి ఎనర్జీ ప్రొవైడ్ చేయడం జరుగుతుంది కాబట్టి రెస్పిరేషన్ ప్రాసెస్ని మనం క్యాలరీ బర్నర్ అండ్ ఎనర్జీ ప్రొవైడర్ అని కూడా పిలుస్తాం. ఆక్సిజన్ అబ్టైన్డ్ ఫ్రమ్ ద సరౌండింగ్స్ is utilized in the production of metabolic water. This is one source of water to our body, and it is formed as end product of burning of calories. The two basic requirements of cellular respiration are the respiratory substrate, the food materials, and then oxygen. Glucose is the main respiratory substrate. Glucose is formed as a result of carbohydrates digestion. We eat various kinds of nutrients in our diet. Glucose is the most readily absorbable and readily digestible form of food. Rather, fats are energy-giving foods, but fats get oxidized in our body very slowly. So, glucose is the main respiratory substrate of respiration. Glucose gets oxidized through a series of steps, and then energy is released in mitochondria. That's why mitochondria are known as powerhouses of cell, and energy is produced in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is known as energy currency. ఈ విధంగా మన బాడీస్లో రెస్పిరేషన్ ప్రాసెస్లో ఎనర్జీ ప్రొడక్షన్ కోసం ఫస్ట్ మనం ఉపయోగించుకునే రెస్పిరేటరీ సబ్స్ట్రాట్ గ్లూకోజ్. గ్లూకోజ్ కంప్లీట్గా బర్న్ అయ్యాక వి డిపెండ్ ఆన్ రిజర్వ్ ఫుడ్ మెటీరియల్స్ గ్లైకోజన్, then go for fats for the oxidation. In the last only we depend on proteins for the production of energy. This is the order of utilization of the food materials for the production of energy. Let's come to the different types of respiration. Respiration can take place even in the absence of oxygen, but the energy produced will be very less. The two main types of respiration are aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. In anaerobic respiration, breakdown of food materials takes place in absence of oxygen, whereas in aerobic respiration, food materials are broken down in the presence of oxygen. Let's know the details of anaerobic respiration. It takes place in the absence of oxygen. It is the incomplete breakdown of organic molecules with less yield of energy. Here, in anaerobic respiration, glucose is partially broken down to form two molecules of ethyl alcohol. Carbon dioxide is released and energy yield is very less. Only 2 ATP molecules are produced. Where do we find this anaerobic respiration? It takes place in the organisms like yeast and bacteria. So you observe this picture. This is the fermentation by the yeast. Anaerobic respiration is also known as fermentation. We also find anaerobic respiration in higher organisms. It occurs in our muscles during vigorous exercise and also in our RBC, as mitochondria are absent in mammalian RBC. During vigorous exercise, enough oxygen can't be supplied to the muscles. That's why anaerobic breakdown takes place. Glucose is broken down to form lactic acid. 2 ATP molecules are released. This lactic acid accumulation causes muscle fatigue. In anaerobic respiration, whether it is taking place in yeast or our body muscles, the glucose is not completely broken down. మనకు ఈస్ట్లో ఫర్మెంటేషన్లో గ్లూకోజ్ బ్రేక్ డౌన్ అయినప్పుడు ఇథైల్ ఆల్కహాల్ ఫామ్ అయింది. మన మజిల్స్లో లేకపోతే ఆర్బీసీలో లాక్టిక్ యాసిడ్ ఫార్మేషన్ జరుగుతుంది. దట్ మీన్స్ గ్లూకోజ్ ఈజ్ ఇన్కంప్లీట్లీ బ్రోకెన్ డౌన్. ద నంబర్ ఆఫ్ ATP molecules obtained are also very less. Only 2 ATP molecules are produced. CO2 is not released in our muscles, but carbon dioxide release we find in case of yeast. This is about the anaerobic respiration. Next is aerobic respiration. It is oxygen requiring mechanism. Organic molecules, the food materials, are completely broken down to yield more energy. You observe the equation. This is the glucose. As a result of oxidation of this glucose, 6 molecules of carbon dioxide and 6 molecules of water are formed, and this process yields huge amounts of energy. 36 ATP molecules are produced. As the fuel is completely oxidized, more CO2 is also produced. So aerobic respiration results in high yield of energy. It takes place in all the cells of our body in the presence of oxygen except RBC. Let's discuss the respiration in unicellular organisms like amoeba, euglena and paramecium. These are single-celled organisms living in water. The cell directly takes oxygen from surroundings and releases carbon dioxide into the surroundings by the process of simple diffusion. Here, the maximum distance between the surroundings and the innermost part of the cell is 0.1 millimeters. The distance is so small that the diffusion is rapid enough for the cell's needs. Whereas in higher organisms, the cells are not in direct contact with the surroundings. That's why the cells cannot directly take the oxygen and give up the carbon dioxide. So there must be a tissue which carries the respiratory gases to the cells where energy production occurs. అంటే ఇక్కడ సరౌండింగ్స్ నుంచి ఆక్సిజన్ని ఎనర్జీ ప్రొడక్షన్ జరిగే సెల్స్కి తీసుకువెళ్ళడానికి ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్ చేయడం కోసం ఇంకొక టిష్యూ అవసరం ఉంటుంది హయ్యర్ యానిమల్స్ విషయంలో. లెట్స్ గెట్ ఇన్ టు ద సెకండ్ టాపిక్ ఆఫ్ టుడేస్ క్లాస్, respiratory organs in different animals. Mechanism of breathing varies among different groups of animals. It mainly depends on their habitats and levels of organization. The first one is body surface. In protozoans and in lower invertebrates such as sponges, cnidarians and also flatworms, exchange of gases takes place through the entire body surface. Here, oxygen enters the body through the body surface and carbon dioxide leaves the body through the entire body surface simply by the process diffusion. Next one is moist body wall. In case of earthworms and frogs, moist body wall helps in respiration, that is exchange of gases. The oxygen present in the atmospheric air, that is gaseous form of oxygen, can't directly enter the blood capillaries. The oxygen in the atmospheric air first gets dissolved in the moisture and then diffuses into the blood flowing in the blood capillaries. So moist body wall helps in the exchange of gases in case of earthworms and frogs. The respiration with the help of body wall is known as cutaneous respiration. Next respiratory organs are trachea. We have already studied the tracheal respiration in cockroach in our first year syllabus. Insects and some other arthropods, they have network of tubes that is known as tracheal system to transport the atmospheric air into the body cells. Oxygen in atmospheric air directly reaches every cell of the body through trachea. Every cell can receive oxygen directly. That's why the tracheate animals are very active. Next interesting respiratory organs are gills. Gills are vascular structures help in respiration in case of aquatic animals. And the respiration with the help of gills is said to be branchial respiration. The term branchial is always related to gills. Where do we find gills as respiratory organs? They are found only in aquatic animals. In case of invertebrates, we find branchial respiration in aquatic arthropods like prawns and also mollusks. These are the gills of prawns. Here, the gills of mollusk, Unio. The gills of mollusks are also known as Ctenidia. Some vertebrates also possess gills, the aquatic vertebrates like fishes and the larval forms of amphibians and the adult urodils of the class Amphibia, they also possess the gills. These are the gills of a fish. Here is a urodil which belongs to the class Amphibia, possess external gills for respiration. Gills maintain continuous flow of water. These are the gills of a fish. Water flows continuously over the gills. This is the enlarged diagram of the gills. The direction of flow of blood in the gills and the direction of flow of water are in counter-current pattern. This mechanism, counter-current pattern of flow of blood and water, helps in the efficient oxygenation of blood. Let's discuss the importance of counter-current mechanism now. We know the point that the counter-current mechanism helps in the efficient oxygenation of blood. Now, we are going to imagine a situation. If there is concurrent flow of blood and water in the gills, how will be the condition? If this is the flow of water on the gills, these are the percentages of oxygen in the water, 180, 60, these are percentages of oxygen. If this is the flow of blood, these two fluids are flowing in the same direction. That's why this flow is known as concurrent flow. As there is concentration gradient, here 100%, here 0%, concentration gradient is there. So oxygen diffuses from higher concentration to lesser concentration. First from this 100% region to 0% region. Then it decreases to 80%, here it rises to 15%. Diffusion continues until it reaches the equilibrium. After that, no further exchange takes place. So the water leaves out with 50% oxygen. Blood also will be with 50% oxygen. This is not an effective movement. గిల్స్ దగ్గర మనకు కౌంటర్ కరెంట్ ఫ్లో కాకుండా కాంకరెంట్ ఫ్లో ఉన్నట్లయితే ఏమవుతుంది? గిల్స్ మీద ఫ్లో అయ్యే వాటర్ అండ్ గిల్స్ క్యాపిలరీస్లో ఫ్లో అవుతున్నటువంటి బ్లడ్ ఒకే డైరెక్షన్లో ఫ్లోయింగ్ జరిగితే దాన్ని మనం కాంకరెంట్ ఫ్లో అంటాం. ఎంటర్ అయ్యే వాటర్ 100% ఆక్సిజన్తో ఉంటుంది. ఇక్కడ బ్లడ్లో 0% ఉంది అని మనం అనుకుంటే కాన్సన్ట్రేషన్ గ్రేడియంట్ వల్ల ఆక్సిజన్ డిఫ్యూజన్ బ్లడ్లోకి జరుగుతుంది. కానీ రెండింటిలో ఈక్వల్ అయిన తర్వాత మనకి డిఫ్యూజన్ జరగదు. అందుకని గిల్స్ నుండి బయటకు వెళ్ళే నీటిలో 50% ఆక్సిజన్ మిగిలిపోతుంది. ఫిష్ బ్లడ్లో కూడా ఓన్లీ 50% ఆక్సిజన్ అబ్జార్ప్షనే జరుగుతుంది. అందుకని కాంకరెంట్ ఫ్లో అనేది ఎఫెక్టివ్ మెథడ్ కాదు. సో ఇన్ కాంకరెంట్ ఫ్లో ద టూ లిక్విడ్స్ ఆర్ మూవింగ్ ఇన్ ద సేమ్ డైరెక్షన్. Here the equilibrium is attained. After this point, no further diffusion takes place. That's why in case of fishes, counter current flow came into existence. It is a great advantage for fishes for the efficient oxygenation. In counter current flow, The two liquids, the water on the gills and the blood in the capillaries, they flow in opposite direction. All the way along, there is small gradient. So oxygen diffuses from higher concentration to lesser concentration. Observe the counter current gas exchange in the gills of fishes in this diagram. This is the flow of water on the gills. The water is with 100% oxygen here. This is the direction of flow of blood in the capillaries. This is the deoxygenated blood with 5% oxygen here. As there is partial pressure gradient, concentration gradient, oxygen from the water diffuses into the blood here. The oxygen rises up to 30%. Here, oxygen concentration in the water is 40%. As there is concentration gradient all the way, oxygen gradually diffuses into the blood and the partial pressure of oxygen in the blood gradually increases. Exchange of gases is possible up to 90% in counter current gas exchange. That's why this mechanism is greater advantage for the fishes. Next, respiratory organs. The well-developed respiratory organs are lungs. These are the vascular bags helping in respiration in terrestrial animals. And the respiration with the help of lungs is said to be pulmonary respiration. The word pulmonary is always related to the lungs. We find these lungs in all the reptiles, birds and mammals. Amphibians like adult frogs and some salamanders also possess these lungs for respiration. Now I will discuss some interesting points related to the respiratory system of birds. Birds have a well-developed technique of continuous exchange of gases even during expiration. This is called double respiration. మనకు ఇన్స్పిరేషన్ తర్వాత ఒక్కసారి మాత్రమే ఎక్స్చేంజ్ ఆఫ్ గ్యాసెస్ జరుగుతుంది. కానీ బర్డ్స్లో ఎక్స్పిరేషన్ టైంలో కూడా ఎక్స్చేంజ్ ఆఫ్ గ్యాసెస్ జరుగుతుంది కాబట్టి దీన్ని డబుల్ రెస్పిరేషన్ అంటాం. హౌ ఈస్ దిస్ పాసిబుల్ ఇన్ కేస్ ఆఫ్ బర్డ్స్? దట్ ఈస్ due to the presence of air sacs. There are 9 air sacs associated with the lungs of birds. In parabronchi, the tubular structures present inside the lungs. These two structures, they help the birds for double respiration. So presence of air sacs and parabronchi, this unique feature is responsible for the double respiration in birds. That's why the birds are super efficient breathers. Now I'll show you the mechanism of double respiration in birds. During inhalation, the atmospheric air enters the trachea and reaches the lungs and posterior air sacs. The posterior air sacs are filled with air during inhalation. During exhalation, the air stored in the posterior air sacs is released into the lungs. So second time exchange of gases takes place in the lungs. That's why the respiration is said to be double respiration. The two structural advantages for the double respiration in birds are presence of air sacs and also the air tubes which are known as parabronchi inside the lungs. You observe the flow of air in the respiratory system of birds. During inhalation, this is inhalation, the air reaches the posterior air sacs. The air sacs are filled with air during inhalation. During exhalation, the posterior air sacs become empty and that air reaches the lungs. Gaseous exchange takes place in the lungs. Then the air reaches the anterior air sacs and sent out. This is the list of respiratory organs in different animals. Exchange of gases takes place through body surface in case of lower invertebrates like protozoans, sponges, cnidarians and flatworms. Moist body wall acts as respiratory organ in case of earthworms and frogs. We find tracheal respiration in insects of phylum Arthropoda. Book lungs are the respiratory organs in terrestrial arachnids like spiders and scorpions. And in aquatic arachnids, limulus, book gills are the respiratory organs. We find gills in aquatic animals like crustaceans, mollusks, and fishes. Moist skin, lungs, and also buccopharyngeal cavity helps in respiration in frogs. Lungs are the respiratory organs in most of the terrestrial vertebrates like reptiles, aves, and mammals. In aquatic reptiles, aves, and mammals also, lungs are the respiratory organs. Basing on the respiratory organs, special names are given to the type of respiration. The respiration with the help of body wall is known as cutaneous respiration. With the help of gills is known as branchial respiration. With trachea is tracheal respiration. With the help of lungs is pulmonary respiration. Now we'll discuss the special features of respiratory organs. మరి రెస్పిరేటరీ ఆర్గన్స్ ద్వారా గ్యాషియస్ డిఫ్యూజన్ జరగాలి అంటే వాటికి స్పెషల్ ప్రాపర్టీస్ ఉండాలి. వాటి గురించి మనం ఇప్పుడు డిస్కస్ చేద్దాం. The respiratory surface should always be moist. Gaseous exchange takes place only through liquid medium. Oxygen dissolves in water, then only the dissolved oxygen can diffuse into the blood. So, diffusion of gases జరగాలంటే ఆ రెస్పిరేటరీ మెంబ్రెయిన్ మాయిస్ట్గా ఉండడం అనేది ఫస్ట్ కండిషన్. అండ్ ద సెకండ్ వన్ ఈస్ ద రెస్పిరేషన్ సర్ఫేస్ మెంబ్రెయిన్ మస్ట్ బి థిన్ so that the gases can diffuse easily and rapidly. Diffusion membrane kuda thin ga undali. And third requisite is there must be larger surface area for the efficient gaseous exchange. Alveoli of lungs increase the surface area, so diffusion of gases takes place quickly through larger surface area. And the last requisite is the respiratory membrane must be highly vascular. There must be sufficient blood supply. If there is more blood supply, more gas exchange is possible. So if an organ fulfills all these properties, that is considered as respiratory organ. It must be kept moist, and it must be thin, the surface area must be large, and it should be highly vascular. These are the characters of the respiratory structures. Mammals have well-developed respiratory system. Presence of rib cage and diaphragm are the characteristic features of mammalian respiratory system. These two structures help in efficient breathing movements. Diaphragm, it is the dome-shaped partition present between the thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity. And the rib cage formed by 12 pairs of ribs in case of human beings. These two structures help in the efficient breathing movements. మరి టెరెస్ట్రియల్ యానిమల్స్లో లంగ్స్ రెస్పిరేషన్కి ఉపయోగపడతాయన్నాం. బట్ వాట్ హ్యాపెన్స్ ఇన్ కేస్ ఆఫ్ ఆక్వాటిక్ మ్యామల్స్? మరి వేల్స్, సీల్స్ ఇవన్నీ ఆక్వాటిక్ మ్యామల్స్. వాటిలో రెస్పిరేషన్ ఎలా జరుగుతుంది లంగ్స్ ద్వారా అంటే దే నెవర్ డిపెండ్ ఆన్ ద డిజాల్వ్డ్ ఆక్సిజన్. They depend on aerial respiration only. అవి అప్పుడప్పుడు ఈ సీల్స్, వేల్స్ అవన్నీ ఎయిర్ సర్ఫేస్ దగ్గరకు వచ్చి అట్మాస్ఫియర్లో ఉన్నటువంటి ఎయిర్ని ఇన్హేల్ చేయడం జరుగుతుంది. ద మజిల్స్ ఆఫ్ ఎలిఫెంట్ సేల్ అండ్ సమ్ అదర్ aquatic mammals contain myoglobin, that is muscle hemoglobin. It has more affinity for oxygen. That's why elephant seal can remain under water for up to 2 hours. అందుకనే అవి నీళ్ల లోపల ఎక్కువ టైం ఉన్నా కూడా ఆ మయోగ్లోబిన్ ఉండడం మూలంగా అవి ఆక్సిజన్ని కంటిన్యూస్గా పొందుతూనే ఉంటాయి. ఎనర్జీ ప్రొడక్షన్ జరుగుతూనే ఉంటుంది. లెట్స్ హ్యావ్ ఎ గ్లాన్స్ ఎట్ ద డిఫరెన్సెస్ బిట్వీన్ బ్రీదింగ్ అండ్ సెల్యులార్ రెస్పిరేషన్. జనరల్గా మనం బ్రీదింగ్, రెస్పిరేషన్ టర్మ్స్ని సినోనిమ్స్గా వాడడం చూస్తూ ఉంటాం. కానీ బయాలజీ లెర్నర్స్గా we have to observe the major differences between breathing and cellular respiration. Breathing is a part of respiration, is a process of respiration during which air is inhaled into the lungs and exhaled out of the lungs. It is a physical process which involves 2 steps, inhalation and exhalation. During breathing, gaseous exchange takes place at the respiratory organs, here at the lungs. Oxygen from the atmospheric air reaches the lungs and carbon dioxide from the lungs is eliminated. This is about the breathing, major concept of breathing. Whereas cellular respiration is a chemical process, biochemical process. It occurs in each and every cell of our body. During cellular respiration, the food materials are broken down to release energy. So breathing is the simple exchange of gases between the atmosphere and respiratory organs, whereas cellular respiration is the release of energy from the food materials. Now we'll know the various steps involved in respiration. The first step is breathing. During breathing, atmospheric air enters the lungs and the alveolar air is sent out of lungs. And the next step is exchange of gases. Now the atmospheric air is there inside the lungs. It is known as alveolar air. Exchange of gases takes place at the alveoli between the alveolar air and the blood. This is the first phase of exchange of gases. Next to it, transport of gases. The oxygen diffused from the alveolar air into blood. It is transported by blood to the various cells of our body, and the carbon dioxide formed in the cells is collected by blood and transported to the lungs for elimination. So this is the third phase of respiration. Next one is exchange of gases. Second time exchange of gases takes place between the blood and the cells. Oxygen from the blood reaches the cells and the carbon dioxide formed inside the cells is released into the blood. This is the exchange of gases between blood and cells. And the last step is using of oxygen for the breakdown of glucose to release energy. This is known as cellular respiration. These are the 5 main steps involved in the respiration. In our second year zoology syllabus, this cellular respiration is not included. So the name of our chapter is Breathing and Exchange of Gases, not the respiration or respiratory system. I would like to discuss one interesting point related to our respiration, that is altitude sickness. What is altitude? Altitude means the height of a location above the sea level. At sea level, the atmospheric pressure is 760 millimeters of mercury. As the altitude increases, atmospheric pressure decreases gradually. Oxygen levels, oxygen partial pressures also decrease gradually. Observe the point. Altitude పెరుగుతున్న కొద్దీ మనం మౌంటైన్స్ పైకి వెళ్తున్న కొలది అట్మాస్ఫిరిక్ ప్రెషర్ తగ్గుతుంది. అలాగే ఆక్సిజన్ పార్షియల్ ప్రెషర్ కూడా తగ్గుతుంది. At a height of 6,000 meters, the partial pressure of oxygen becomes almost half of what is at the mean sea level. So the people ascending mountains experience this altitude sickness. The symptoms of altitude sickness include nausea, that is vomiting sensation, fatigue, heart palpitations, abnormal heartbeat. This is because of low atmospheric pressure at high altitudes. The body does not get enough oxygen. But how can the people live at high altitudes? మరి మౌంటైనీర్స్లో షార్ట్ టైమ్ ఎక్స్పోజర్కే ఆల్టిట్యూడ్ సిక్నెస్ సిమ్టమ్స్ కనిపిస్తున్నప్పుడు మౌంటైన్ రేంజెస్ మీద లాంగ్ టైం నివసిస్తున్నటువంటి పీపుల్ ఆ ప్రాబ్లమ్ని ఎలా ఓవర్కమ్ చేయగలుగుతున్నారు అంటే దే గ్రాడ్యువల్లీ గెట్ అక్లిమటైజ్డ్ టు హై ఆల్టిట్యూడ్స్. How did their body solve this problem? The body compensates low oxygen availability by increasing the RBC production. అట్మాస్ఫియర్లో ఆక్సిజన్ అవైలబిలిటీ తగ్గగానే బాడీలో చేంజెస్ వస్తాయి. దెన్ అవర్ కిడ్నీస్ రిలీజ్ ఎ స్పెషల్ హార్మోన్ ఎరిథ్రోపయోటిన్. It stimulates our bone marrow to produce more RBC. మరి ఆక్సిజన్ అవైలబిలిటీ తక్కువ ఉంది కాబట్టి ఆర్బీసీ నంబర్ పెంచుకోవడం మూలంగా మనం ఆక్సిజన్ని ఎక్కువ అమౌంట్స్లో క్యాచ్ చేయగలగడం జరుగుతుంది. అండ్ ద సెకండ్ అడాప్టేషన్ ఈజ్ ఇంక్రీజింగ్ ద రేట్ ఆఫ్ బ్రీదింగ్. నార్మల్ పీపుల్లో 12 to 15 times per minute బ్రీదింగ్ జరుగుతుంది. మరి మౌంటైన్ రేంజెస్ మీద ఆక్సిజన్ అవైలబిలిటీ తక్కువ ఉంది కాబట్టి బై ఇంక్రీజింగ్ ద రేట్ ఆఫ్ బ్రీదింగ్ more air is taken into our lungs. And third adaptation is decreasing the binding capacity of hemoglobin with oxygen. Hemoglobin is the respiratory pigment that transports the oxygen from lungs to tissues. The affinity of hemoglobin towards the oxygen decreases, so oxygen is quickly released at the tissues. Mari hemoglobin oxygenతో ఎఫినిటీ తగ్గుతుంది కాబట్టి క్విక్గా ఆక్సిజన్ని టిష్యూస్ వద్ద రిలీజ్ చేస్తుంది. సో ఆక్సిజన్ ఈజ్ రెడీలీ అవైలబుల్ టు ద టిష్యూస్ ఫర్ ద ప్రొడక్షన్ ఆఫ్ ఎనర్జీ. దీస్ ఆర్ ద ఫిజియోలాజికల్ అడాప్టేషన్స్ ఫౌండ్ ఇన్ ద పీపుల్ లివింగ్ ఎట్ హై ఆల్టిట్యూడ్స్. The different topics of this chapter will be explained in 9 classes. The first class is about introduction of respiration and respiratory organs in different animals. Just now we have discussed this topic. In our next session, we'll continue with human respiratory system.